All right, we're on the next part of sewing an open neck swag. Hopefully if you've watched the previous episodes where we cut the swag and we cut it on the bias, of course, and then I went over with the sewing machine, showed you how to sew the top and bottom, how to press it so you have a lip on the bottom where you don't have a lip on the top, those steps. And you notice one thing that I didn't do, which I see a lot of people do on YouTube that are mistakes, even the people who are trying to teach you how to do it, is you never cut these pleats out until you've sewn and pressed the bottom, and it doesn't matter if it's a regular swag or an open neck swag like we're working on. You never cut these out until you've sewn the bottom, you've turned it, and you press this little lip. Because you know what? Once you press this little lip in, and if you've already cut your lining out, then what's going to happen is it's not going to line up with these little sawtooths here. So you just want to keep that in mind when you're doing it. So now we're at the point where we're going to stick a pin in each one of these pleats, and then we're going to pleat it. Okay, now we cut out. Just about there. Okay, we're ready to pleat. Now, just for a little note on pleating swags, whether it doesn't matter open neck or regular neck, there's a few occasions where you have a very slippery material, and I like to use cotton lining because cotton lining adheres to things. It's a little thicker. If you're using a polyester liner, it's slippery and it's hard to keep it. But you want to keep your lining lined up into these points. And if you're having a problem doing that, or you're new to it, you may want to consider taking a 1/4 inch stitch and stitching outline stitch all the way around all these. It's a lot of work. I don't find it necessary other than limited times, and I mean real limited times. But being a new sewer, or if you're, I'll put it this way, the times I have to do it is when I have to do like a sheer fabric. something very lightweight that I'm lining. Then I have to do it. That being said, we're ready to pleat this. I'm going to remove my pins. I have my pleating board, which I strongly recommend, as always, a pleating board, because the other people I've seen, they're trying to hold it, they're trying to pin, and then go over here, pin. Like I said many times before on my YouTube videos, pleating board is where it's at. It's a must. It's almost a must. Okay, having said that, we're taking that first V right here, and we're flipping it behind the swag, like that. That's now, I've created my first edge. Of course, you got to remove the pin while you're doing it. And that is going to go down, just like that. That's why it's good to have a pleating board. Just like so. We're going over to our other one. Remove the pin, and we're grabbing that, and we're keeping it even with this one. Again, if you can see that here, and if refer back to one of my other videos on open neck, and it might show it from a different perspective if you're not sure of how I just did that. Now, how far are you going to go? How far out, how far in when you're pleating it? Well, if you're out like this and you see this is on an angle on your pleating board, you know you went too far out. This has got to stay lined up, even with the top of your pleating board. You want to make sure both sides can do it. And as long as you've got that, so far you're all right. Now, I'm going to have another segment on how many swags, the overlap between them, how you figure out your sizes. But at least this will get you started. Okay, like all my other videos on it, you want to make sure you're coming here first. You're pinching the material, creating like a taut part, like it's a rope, so you can see where it's creasing. Remove your pin. Bring it up, and this also has to be a point right here. If you can see that, that's got to come to a point. And do the same thing here. Take your time with it. No sense in rushing. Always remember, you want to come to your center and form that pleat to the center. Don't just count on, I've seen this too, where people just go like this, and they come over this side and go like this and like that and expect it to look like something. It's not going to happen. Work one pleat at a time. Get some material into your hand like this. Come over to where your V is. Grab it and watch what happens. Give it a little tug. You want to make sure you're grabbing the lining too. And then bring it over. I think it gets a little harder the deeper you go with the swag to know how much to grab. Keeping yourself well organized. Take your time, take a deep breath. Grab it. You see how I just did that? I'm grabbing the center right here. Grabbing right in that V. And you can see how I already formed that, and I'm just bringing it over the top. If you're not getting it from this direction, go back and just watch. I have several different ones where I'm pleating swags. And just keep watching different angles, I guess. That's all I can say. Not going to tell you it's easy. Take some practice. And you also find my swags, the one that I just made this open neck swag out of, you can purchase off of eBay. Go on to my website, Factory Direct Designers Workroom, and you'll find them. They come pre-pleated. And what's nice about that is you can practice, because I press in the folds, and you can practice with them. And I've had a lot of luck. People have had a lot of luck with them, and people have told me, geez, they've tried to do it, and they can't get it. And when they get my pattern, and they see it right there, and they can take it apart, and the folds are there, they can put it back together, they can practice with it, and then they can use it on their window treatment. So it's definitely helpful. Now we're going to check the size of it. And what you want is uniformity between this side and this side. This side's 12 5/8. This side came out much wider. So now you have to determine, this is 13, you have to determine, it's about a good 3/4 of an inch difference. Now you have to determine what size you wanted and what you wanted for the overlap. And I'm going to say this side has to be pushed in a little bit. And this is common. This happens a lot where you get one side bigger. It's because you're just at your rough size. And it's easy enough to just push in or to pull out the pleats. And you're just talking a little bit on each pleat. Makes a big difference. Very, very close. Okay, let me turn that around so you can see what that swag looks like. There it is. It's not a bad looking swag. Cut on the bias so the stripes are going like in a candy cane, like that. So the next step would be, what I like to use is a pair of plier stapler. You can take pins and you can pin each one of them in, it's fine. I like to use a pair of plier staplers like this. It does work. I would take this, give yourself a good 1/2 inch down. At this point, you'll be taking it back over to the sewing machine. You'll be sewing it down using a 1/4 inch stitch down. Then at that point, if you're going, you've got several options on how you want to put it. If you're putting it on a pole, you sew your tacking strip on. Go back to my previous one where I show you one that's already done, and I put a little facing on this side. I put Velcro on the back side of it, and literally you just plop it over a pole. But that's an open neck swag. Normally be put on a pole. This is just a cardboard tube. But it would be like that. Kind of like that. Okay, so I hope that this helps you with making an open neck swag. And like I said before, you can get this, you just take your regular swag apart and use that, cut out the neck like I did, and you're all set. So check out my other videos, and when I get to it, I will probably be sewing jabos onto this one, so you get a full shot on how to do it. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.